everyone to episode 16 of our web series, Decoding NEP 2020, brought to you by Edudevs, School of Inspired Teaching and Learning, and powered by Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University. I, Kuhika Dhingra, on behalf of Edudevs, present to you our esteemed panelists who have gathered for an enriching deliberation on today's theme, Continuous Professional Development of Educators. Introducing our panelist, Ms. Geetika Kapoor, Principal, St. Teresa's College, Ashiana, Lucknow. Having an academically rich experience that sprawls across 27 years, Mrs. Kapoor is also the president and head of Anglo-Indian schools in Uttar Pradesh and Delhi. She has been accredited with the Best Educationist Award by IIEM and has also been conferred with the title of Adarsh Guru by Awaz Sanstha, Lucknow. A renowned author, an excellent educator, and an exemplary principal, Ms. Geetika Kapoor has conquered many milestones in her life. We are honored to have you on our panel today, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And I'm honored to be here as part of today's discussion.
Thank you so much. Proudly welcoming Dr. Raja Tilagam, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham University. She is passionate about mentoring and has been an advisor for several doctorate students. Dr. Raja Tilagam has also collaborated with the Aram Foundation for developing an entrepreneur mentoring program at Amrita campus. With numerous publications in recent years, her expertise has brought transformational changes in the field of computer science and engineering. We look forward to hearing your insights today, ma'am.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I'm very happy to be part of this discussion.
Thank you. Honored to welcome Ms. Sana Siddiqui, Additional State Project Director, Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan, and Deputy Commissioner, Rajasthan School Shiksha Parishad, Jaipur, on our panel today. Associated with RAS for more than a decade now, she has also served as Additional Chief Executive Officer, Zilla Parishad, Jaipur. Her unwavering determination and passion truly sets her apart from all. Thank you so much for joining us today, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for giving me this chance. I'm very keen to listen to all the panelists.
Thank you. And now I proudly introduce our moderator for the day, Ms. Devyani Kapoor. A former principal, author, and passionate edu leader, Ms. Kapoor carries over 3 decades of experience in the education sector. A pragmatic thought leader, she is the founder and CEO of Edudevs, School of Inspired Teaching and Learning. Accredited Iconic Edupreneur of the Year Award in World Education Awards 2021 by INSEAD and SPACE, she is renowned for introducing numerous innovative pedagogical techniques and creating new benchmarks in the field of education. Once again, I welcome all of you who have just joined the session. Please note that all the recordings of our previous episodes are available on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. And we request you to stay tuned till the end as our panelists would address the questions raised by you all. And now I proudly hand over the baton to our moderator, Ms. Devyani Kapoor.
Thank you so much, Kuhika. I warmly welcome today's esteemed panel to the 16th episode of our web series, Decoding National Education Policy 2020, produced by Edudevs, School of Inspired Teaching and Learning, and powered by Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham. Today's discussion is on a very pertinent issue, which is on the role of teachers and their self-development. Teachers truly shape the future of our children, and hence, indirectly, they contribute to the process of nation building by somewhere shaping the nascent minds in the classrooms. However, I have the statistics in front of me. India is the home to one of the largest student population in the world. There are currently around 26.4 crore students enrolled in 15 lakh schools across the country. But do we have enough qualified teachers to teach them? As per the latest UDISC data, India has 96.8 lakh teachers with a teacher-student ratio of 1:24, as against Brazil and China, which have 1:19. It's also noteworthy here that the existing teachers may not have enough skills to adapt to the changing education environment. The 21st century has witnessed revolutionary changes, you see, leading to establishment of a new world order. And this new world order has its own demands, which are based on the newer skills. Now, we do know that the shortage of qualified teachers is one of the most chronic ills afflicting the Indian schools. The government, on their part, have addressed this, mandating all government school teachers to possess the minimum qualification laid down by the National Council of Teacher Education. Several initiatives have been taken to provide, continuous professional development. However, are they actually qualified to teach a 21st century student? Even Niti Aayog 3-year action agenda identifies the role of pedagogy in improving the learning outcomes. If we look at the national education policy, like all other policy documents, it recognizes the critical role of the educators in the teaching learning process, and hence emphasizes a 50-hour continuous professional development program for every teacher per year. Sadly, it also acknowledges the unmotivated, dispirited scenario of the Indian teachers and wants to equip them with the latest techniques. There have been recommendations all over the policy which talks about development of such modules and create a robust merit-based structure of tenure, salary, promotions, and that intensifies and recognizes the outstanding teachers, because that's important. Unless teachers get incentives, how will they push their limits? Not spilling much beans and trying to take the bull by the horns, let's address this issue and start the discussion. As always, we have 3 rounds. Our first round is an ice-breaking round. Same question addressed to all the 3 panelists. The second is a specific round where each panelist gets a specific question and we hear out their perspective to that specific issue. And last but not the least, we have the Q&A round, which is our audience round. Now, when we look at there has been so much of buzz and talk about, ever since the national education policy has come, there has been so much of talk about the need of capacity building of the educators. In case the educators of the 21st century want to stand tall in front of a 21st century student, they have to move out and convert the static learning spaces into active learning hubs. So I would like to hear what at the onset our panelists have to say about the need and challenge of the capacity building amongst the educators. We move on in the order of Ms. Geetika Kapoor, Dr. Rajathalingam, and Ms. Sana Siddiqui. And I would appreciate that if you adhere to 2 minutes time limit. Yes, yes, Ms. Geetika Kapoor.
Thank you, Devani. A pleasure to be at this platform with Edudevs and you. Now, where we talk about the capacity building or the continuous professional development policy, which we are seeing in NEP, I think it is the need of the hour, especially after like we have had this last 2 years, the online education and how we coped with it. I think we as the head of the schools and the teachers would only know. So now I feel it's the hour where they should have more professional online workshops, which leads to their latest, where they know about, they keep updating themselves about the latest technology, which they can put in use in their day-to-day teaching. And secondly, where the subject based also, I think it should more be, like you said, active learning. No more of that rote learning or passive learning. So I think the best thing would be that we give them the opportunity to have these, to participate in online workshops. And now it's become all the more easier because I think more so, most of our teachers now, they are aware of how to go online, how to teach, how to be on Zoom, how to be on Google Meet. So now they are all the more aware of things. So it has become, I think, easier for us, and we give them the opportunity to attend these workshops by skilled people, updating them in their subjects also, plus what is latest in education technology-wise, and how they can put this into best use in their day-to-day teaching. And I feel, this will lead to a more healthy working environment and a learning environment in school.
Yeah, I think, thank you, Ms. Geetika, very well said. And I'm very impressed that you do realize that, that adaptability, that the need is to have more of online workshops. And why not? Because why not save on to our resources, our time? And it is easy when we have shifted our teaching methodology to online, then why not train the teachers, use the online platforms? Thank you so much for your insights. Moving on to Dr. Rajathalingam. Yes, Doctor.
Thank you, madam. Basically, our students before, earlier than this COVID period, neither the students nor the faculty expected such a transformation, which just happened literally overnight. And what the first thing that comes is, how do you create interest in a student to learn? The necessity to learn something looks almost, gone with the students these days, whether it is school students or university students. The reason is so much of information and certification courses are available already. People or the students actually do not know what exactly they have to learn. Well, what is there for them to learn? Everything is there around for them. What is there for them to learn? If they need something, they can just pick the information from there, right? So that is most popularly, students think that way. But a teacher can actually add value to the learning process. So that is where, to understand this, a pedagogical research is necessary. From the Indian student mindset perspective, it is necessary, because if you do pedagogical research and experiment with students on how to convey something, students are not just actually looking for information. It is only information that is available for them, but they are not just looking at information. They want to become something in life. So whatever learning that the teacher is trying to imbibe, it has to be connected to what the student wants to become. I think that is where it is necessary that it is not just training online, but also some kind of pedagogical experiments and research is necessary for the teaching community to understand and for the student community to enjoy the learning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajatalingam. I think so well, we are getting such wonderful insights that it's not just a rigorous thing that you put something on the track and again put it like in a churning machine. It's also about a research that how would a student behave in the current scenario and how effectively the lessons would be transacted through an online or probably a hybrid model. So very important. And I really loved when you said that teachers can add a lot of value to the whole learning process. That's the bottom line. So they bring, the relevance of the teacher needs to be a motivator and not just a transactor of information. Thank you so much. Moving on to Ms. Sana, let's hear you out and your thoughts on what is the necessity of the teacher training programs. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Devyani ji. I guess education is a never-ending process. It doesn't stop after a degree or after you become a teacher. And for all of us, but especially for teachers. So through this continuing education and learning, teacher can constantly improve their skills and become more proficient at teaching. It is particularly important for education department because since I belong to education department, so I'll talk about them. So it is very necessary for us to encourage teachers to get trained through professional development courses, not only to ensure the best learning outcomes for their students, but also to be more effective and satisfied in various other aspects of their work and work-life balance too. Professional development for teacher can help teachers to plan their time better and stay organized. This makes teacher more efficient and give them extra time to focus not just on paperwork but students also. As ma'am said, they add values in a person's life. We are not just teaching someone, we are just creating our future citizens. So it is very important for teachers to get connected with their students, and students also expect their teachers to be specialist. Now I guess nowadays students are expecting more and more, so they want their teachers to be specialist in the subject matter for all the topics they are teaching, or the holistic guidance they need from their teachers. So I guess different courses and traditionally what we were practicing, like one size fits all, and our traditional methods were very good. I'm not criticizing them, but as the time changes and after COVID, I think it is entirely a new era, entirely a hybrid education system. So teachers are facing problems. I myself have experienced with the teachers of my own children, or I have went to different schools, and I have seen them. They are facing problems. So it's very necessary to help them to develop themselves.
So I think absolutely all of us are on the same page. Thank you so much, Ms. Sana, that yes, it is very important that we need to consciously focus on a continuous professional development, not just, a workshop comes and it ends with a few number of workshops in the beginning of the year and that the story ends. No, now if the teacher has to be relevant, one, they have to be abreast with the technological developments, integrate their curriculum with technology. Yes. Two, it is very important for them to continuously indulge in pedagogical research, find out newer methodologies and pedagogies for the deliverance of the content in the best possible way. And lastly, as Ms. Sana said, that yes, it would give them more time in planning and strategizing not just about their content, but also about bringing a lot of value and understanding the mindset of the students. So thank you so much, panelists, for this ice-breaking round, which was really wonderful. Moving on to now the specific question round. And my first question is to Ms. Geetika Kapoor. So, Ms. Geetika, we were just talking about the need, and we all recognize that the 21st century teacher can't just walk into the classroom. She needs to be equipped with the required skill sets. Now, professional development of any sorts will require a lot of commitment, both from teachers and you being the principal. You will understand from the institutions as well, because that means those are the number of hours you're keeping your teachers out of the classrooms as well. And considering that today's educators are already burdened with adapting, the hybrid model, catching up with the syllabus, ensuring student performance, and the ever-changing protocols and mandates that the state governments or CBSE keeps coming up with. So there's a lot of pressure on them. Now, my question to you is, how do you suggest they can carve out this time and invest in this upskilling and reskilling process, or will it just remain a talk on the webinars? And then who should take care of the expenses of the professional development of educators? This is the most important question. Okay, who is going to pay for it? Whether the teacher, the management, the government? Yes, ma'am.
See, Devyani, four of us, in fact, we do agree that we need to have this continuous professional development.
Quicker, you'll have to mute everyone except the speak panelist. Except the panelists, please mute everyone. Yes, Geetika.
Yeah. So, Devyani, we all agree to this, that the time has come now, as we're moving ahead. We do need, to update our teachers. As Anaji said, that education is a learning process. And what I say, like, if we come into teaching line, including myself, all the principals, we are lifelong learners. We cannot stagnate and we say, no, we know all. This doesn't end there. So now when we are planning this continuous professional development for the teachers, so all the stakeholders, be it the management, the teachers, the government, we all have to come together. We cannot expect, like if we want our teachers to do a training, or we want them to upgrade themselves and attend workshops, not just namesake workshops, but workshops where we know that how much they are learning. We have to keep a track of that. What is relevance learning over there? Whether they are learning or just like certificate courses, like they're just doing for the sake of getting the certificates. Now, once they are doing that, then we all have to get together. First thing is the finances, like you said, we need to help them. Government has to help them, management, we also have to help them, plus the teachers. They should be made, first of all, interested, the passion to learn more. That should be, we have to encourage them to learn more and do more and to dream more for their benefit. So what I feel like schools, what they can do, they can select, even if not workshops all the time, they can select their own senior faculty to become a leader for this. And that leader now ensures how the workshops have to go about. Even they can share their knowledge. And this, I think, can be done on weekends without taxing them too much. It can be taken as either a one-day long workshop on a Saturday, or like most of the schools throughout the country now are 5 days, though we, of course, are still 6 days. So we can utilize the weekends, like the Saturday, or we can spread it into 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, and have a 2-hour workshop. Now, like I heard what you said was this 50-hour workshop they are planning. So even if we take the Saturdays in a year, we'll have around 48 to 50 Saturdays. So that can be utilized. Plus, what I feel like evaluation should be there. Continuous evaluation should be there. That is the need of the hour. And teachers themselves, once they attend, once they feel, yes, that is relevant, and they get interested in whatever we are doing, we'll be providing the best to the children. Because whatever happens, we have the life of the child in our hands. And what is our aim is to provide them the best. So when teachers feel this, that whatever workshops they are doing, they are relevant workshops, they are important for them, it's making them grow in their field, definitely, a change will come and they will take interest. And it will be good for everyone who's in education, be it the management, be it the people who have the schools, be it the government, the education department, or for our own country, to have those citizens who have the knowledge, the latest knowledge. That is very important.
Yeah. I think so well said. And I was really struck, Ms. Geetika, by you said, and I think every teacher should hear this out: learn more, do more, and dream more. Because a beautiful statement, because unless you want to learn and grow and do, nobody can, take the horse. They can take the horse to the well, but they can't make it drink the water. And, the thing is that eventually, as you rightly said, that all the stakeholders need to come together, the managements, the government, and the teachers themselves. It's very important, I think, Ms. Geetika, that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that isn't this now the right time where teachers should not wait for her own professional growth, that some management will come and give them some reference books or some kind of modules. They need to start investing in their own professional development. Because, every professional, I've seen that even the carpenters and anybody, they want to buy their own tools. But as far as our being a teaching a community, we wait कि management से कहीं से reference books या कोई workshop आएगी तो हम कर लेंगे. But I think teachers, it's time we need to push our limits. We need to go beyond, as Ms. Geetika rightly said, that you need to learn more, do more, and dream more. Thank you so much for this wonderful insights, and I'm sure our viewers would have taken a note of this. Moving on to Dr. Rajathalingam. Dr. Rajathalingam, we see that if national education policy, the expectations of NEP 2020 we have, if that needs to be properly implemented, it talks about, technology integration, research, internship, development, so many aspects, it's talking about. We will have to discard, the age-old pedagogies and, reinvent newer techniques. And we see that many opportunities have emerged as well. You start surfing the internet these days, I see every second you keep, there are pop-ups where they say that, this is a 2-hour course, 4-hour course, CPT, because they have said that now 50 hours of CPT. So I think so many players in the market have suddenly put some stuff together, wrapped it up into a package. And now my question to you is how to not get swayed with the rates of online certificate collection, because school managements will be now pressurizing, because they are being pressurized for that 50 hours. So they'll be pressurizing teachers to, you have to complete, give us more of these, show us more of these certifications. So as Ms. Geetika also said, that it should not be just about collection of certificates. What is your recommendation on that?
Well, whenever we recommend, at least at the PhD level students, they literally start from scratch in most of the cutting edge technology, application problems, they literally start from scratch. I have seen that Students do go through online certification courses, but they do not get the core of the knowledge that is required for research. If you need to, why are the students asked to learn? They need to apply it somewhere in some domain. They need to get a career. They have to do something in life, right? The basics, the fundamentals, which are required for building their career, that is not completely available in online courses. You may wrap it up with so many things, because online courses need to work on a scope. They need to work on the time. They need to work on the attention span of the people. They need to cater to interest across a big population, a broader population. But if you look at teachers, they can be more specific and customized to individual students. That is possible, one thing. And you get the opportunity to experiment with the student interest. A teacher has to give surprises. That is when the student will be able to actually learn. So we should be able to design experiments where you say, okay, this is the activity and you have to come out with this, for example. That can be customized to specific group of students, and it is much more easier than, and much lesser time this can be achieved than going with online certification. You may want 50-hour certification course to achieve something or get the student learn something. But with an individual teacher, you might be able to achieve the same learning in 25 hours. And the remaining 25 hours, you can make the student learn much more than that. It is not necessary that we could always do much better than an online course if you do it in a customized manner. Every batch of student, is actually different. Every batch of student is actually different. Online courses can be utilized for repeated learning. This is what I have experimented and understood. For some repeated learning, for example, you learn a course and you want to actually remember certain points, rather than taking down notes, which the students are not, in habit these days. Instead of that, they could use online courses for repeated learning, remembering certain things and, connecting certain things. All that is fine. But with a teacher, it's easy. Actually, you can design a better course material if you have a teacher delivering the course. The course delivery can be modeled much more interesting way with a teacher and the digital material, rather than completely an online course, certified course. This is one. The other one is about evaluations. Online course evaluations, I think, are not really the best ones you can have for your students. If you want to really test a student, I need asking him questions personally, right? Even in the online mode, you will be able to evaluate better than writing an examination, having a question paper, asking them to write an examination. So the way we evaluate the students, the examination system, all of that has to be a hybrid combination of tools, digital tools, which can be, a training where the student has to repeatedly learn certain things, that can be, put into digital tools. There are certain things you want the student to understand at a different level. At a different level, it should be the teacher, a different kind of evaluation has to be designed. So to evaluate the student at different levels, you have to use different methodologies, which online courses do not do. So you can definitely...
So you mean to say, because here the question is, teachers taking the online courses. So when the teachers are taking the online courses, that
also actually works out at the teacher level also, because it is all the more difficult for teachers, because after this training they are supposed to go and deliver to the students. So what they are learning from these courses, actually they should be ahead, right? So even there, taking online courses alone will not be sufficient, is my point.
Very
completely
right. I think, yes, yes. Continue, please.
a deeper domain expert will be able to convey certain things more effectively than an online course, certification course. Online certification course, it doesn't completely uh, ensure the knowledge with the teachers. Definitely, it helps in understanding the scope of the syllabus. It helps in understanding, what are the key aspects that you should be learning in a particular topic. All that is there, but it doesn't complete the training process for a teacher.
Great. Thank you so much. And I think you've given me
One more
enough
point.
food to,
One more
yes,
point.
yes.
The teachers should be willing to spend their time to develop what they want to become actually. It is not just money, thanks to Madam, Geetika Madam, but it's not just money from the management or the government. It's not just our own money also. It is not just the fund alone. It is the time that is important for us to shape our thought process and build a better teacher, become a better teacher. Not just a teacher these days. You have to become a motivator. You not just teach. You have to give a guidance to their career path and what opportunities are existing in this world and how they can become entrepreneurs. I think the role of a teacher has completely changed, and it is getting back to the demand in our olden days. Maybe our old methods are not suitable, but the demand has become like, earlier days we had acharyas, we had gurukulas, and those gurus were giving complete education to people. Today, our teachers are expected to do that. That is how the children are.
Great. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
madam.
And this gives me a lot of food to initiate a little bit of, spice in the whole session, because Dr. Rajatalingam did say that, you cannot just be with self-paced online courses. The teacher needs to finally go back to the class. She should do research, and an online self-paced course can be seen as revisiting of the whole concept, or maybe learning certain new ones. Moving on to Ms. Sana Siddiqui, my question to you is, as we enter the post-pandemic phase, the education system is formally embracing many, more digital learning tools and methods. So the government online platforms like Diksha, digital infrastructure for school education, and Nishtha, which is the national initiative for school heads and teachers' holistic advancement. These have emerged to provide training to the educators. And they have aided teachers to adapt to some of the changing education environment, helping students evolve. However, we see that we've seen teachers pointed out difficulties in finding relevant, high quality curated content, especially for some undeserved subjects. And the popularity of these is somewhere compromised. So do you think there's still a need of platform that provides a relevant and more robust training for the teachers? So what is your suggestion from because we would get a government's perspective on this? Yes, Ms. Sana. Is Ms. Sana there? Is Sana Siddiqui?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Now we can.
Oh, I guess I was muted by the host.
Yeah.
So now I am audible?
Yes, Ms. Siddiqui, you are.
Okay. Yeah. I was saying that if we dig in some history, so teachers'
Can
education.
you please switch on your screen? Can you switch on your video, please? Yes,
It's
now
on.
it's better. Yeah, now we can see you. It wasn't. Yeah.
Okay.
Now we can.
So teacher education in our country can be divided into two broad areas. I guess the first one is the pre-service education, which is focused on preparing prospective students for a career in a teaching, and second is the in-service teachers training that is provided by the department throughout the year. Teacher training in government school, as I mentioned, traditionally it was a one size fits all approach. Generally, it was disconnected from the classroom realities and it was not linked to the outcomes. So, as you said, there was a huge need, and there is still a huge need to provide relevant upskills training for teachers. So Rajasthan is striving to transform the overall approach towards teacher professional development. See, as if the traditional design was the one size fits all, we are now focusing on needs based teacher training. It is assessed through teacher need assessment. A teacher choose himself or herself what he want to learn, what he want to be skilled in. Then he choose his or her courses himself or herself. Suppose a teacher wants to do something in pedagogy, he can choose it. If a teacher wants to learn about technique, he can choose that also. Similarly, as the traditional design was one time or it was episodic, we are now focusing on continuous and self-paced trainings. Earlier, it was disconnected from classroom realities. Now we are trying to make it a practical, practice-based teacher learning, so that small group discussions or demonstration to clear doubts, to create academic plans, academic calendars, to share it with other teachers. So we are focusing on that. Earlier, it was not linked to the outcomes. Now we are focusing and we are trying to mention all the training teachers who are getting trained. The training effectiveness should be tracked in classroom. Teacher practice observed in classroom to, close the loop. And it is not a core part. It was not a core part area of a teacher's life cycle, but we are now mainstreaming it into teacher life cycles. And as you said, Diksha and Nishtha, it is there, but I would agree with one of our panelists that just gathering the online certificate is not appropriate, and it doesn't fulfill our needs. We have to be assessment focused and content focused. We have to be pedagogy focused. So we have to, motivate. I guess there is a huge need of motivation to our teachers too, because as I said, they are already, struggling with this hybrid system, and now we are saying that no, you have to take training for this, you have to take training for that, you have to take training for that. So at some part of their life, we have to enhance their motivation also, so that they can choose their needs, they can assess their themselves, and they can choose their own courses wherever they want to go there.
Very well, Ms. Sana, very well said. And this also, I'll just have a very quick question, that CBSE somewhere, I've been interacting with so many principals and so many other stakeholders. There is a whole overambitious calendar which the CBSE has rolled out.
Yes.
And it is mandatory. And sometimes I was talking to a few school heads and with a few educators. And they said that, we sometimes switch off the camera and let the, lesson, because after coming out of the class, there is another calendar, there is another schedule that we have to follow. And it becomes very difficult. So I think every government, whether it's central or state governments, they need to understand, as you rightly said, the motivation level. The time is very important, that how much time the teacher, because teacher is in the class and then you push her into another class which she's herself taking. So and all the stakeholders will have to come together, and really liked the Rajasthan government's initiative, because that's also something which Edudevs does the research on, that is need-based analysis, that one size doesn't fit all. Some teachers might require a pedagogical workshop in techniques. The other might be requiring in somewhere in the level of motivation or a classroom management or a domain knowledge. So we need to identify and not just rely on one workshop. We have to give them a continuous. So I think somewhere the governments have taken the 50 hours CPD in the literal sense and lost the spirit of it. As they say, the constitution is read in spirit and word. So word को पकड़ लिया है और कहीं ना कहीं spirit छोड़ दिया. गीतिका जी, आप क्या कहेंगे इसके ऊपर? What would you like to say? This is something a very pertinent thing. Ji.
Yeah, I do agree with the other panelists also what they said, that it's not just the 50 hours we have to put in, you know, it's what we are teaching, what I said, that they are taking something back, nothing forced on them. Why we motivate them, and when they like something, they themselves become passionate to learn more. Something which is more practical, which they can use in the class with the children. That is more important. Nothing which is forced, like, no, today you have to attend, tomorrow you have to attend, day after you have to attend, and then like what you said, they switch off their cameras and like the workshop can carry on and they get a certificate after that. So we have to be more practical. And practical is experience. When we take into consideration the government also, the experienced teachers, the experienced head of the school, person who has been in the class himself or herself. Like I started my career as a pre-primary teacher. So from the pre-primary teacher becoming slowly the head of the school, I know with each level, what are the difficulties, what is required in the class, what is good at the pre-primary level, the primary level, the middle school level, and the secondary level. So these kind of people, they have to put their minds together. It's just not 50 hours of workshop we have to complete and we are done and it's all paperwork. So if we really want to have teachers, you know, who are motivated, who have the passion for teaching, we have to, you know, sit with them also and speak to them, and let it start with the head of the school. That yes, what you think is required, you know, to give your best. They will themselves come out with some wonderful suggestions. And then the government can sit with the heads of the school or the management of few of the schools and then discuss it and then implement it. Like what you say, should not be in a hurry, you know, that no, we have to complete 50 hours. So everyone should get into doing the rut of it, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because this was a point I deliberately, thank you so much, Emma Newton. This was a point I deliberately wanted to bring up in this session of capacity building, importance of capacity building for teachers, because suddenly everywhere there is, you know, a buzz and a pressure about 50 hours of CPD has to be, and honestly speaking, that buzz has been initiated by the over-ambitious, and I have no inhibitions to say, over-ambitious calendar of the CBSE, because everybody is juggling with, you know, fulfilling. The teachers have their own, you know, getting into the classrooms, then working on the exam schedules, and then also getting into that. So yes, it should not be just about completion of 50 hours, not also about collection of certificates. It should be a self-exploration journey. The teacher should be motivated about that. Yes, I need to take this workshop and this lacking. So I think that level of freedom and liberty has to be provided to the principals, to the you know, to the educators, to identify the need-based analysis. Geetika ji, I'll come very quickly, because since you're already in discussion, I want to take this opportunity. I have another question for you, where we are talking about that the 50 hours of continuous professional development, and we are talking about its need. But then what do you think should be the parameters when we are evaluating that, yes, this educator is a 21st century educator who is competent to stand tall in front of a 21st century student? So in your, you have so much of experience, and I'm sure when you look at the teacher, you'll be able to identify that she's lacking in this. So what parameters would you suggest, like 4 or 5 parameters, which should be assessed when we are evaluating a teacher's professional development? G.
See, what we should look at first is the planning sessions. Each teacher, like we all are educators over here, and we know that when we enter the class, before entering the class, we do have a planning session, what we call as lesson plan. So how the
Right.
teacher, first of all, has planned to deliver the subject the next day. And it should be evaluated. That's the very first thing. Second is the subject knowledge. If we come to the senior classes or the middle school. Now, if we go to the pre-primary level or the primary level, I would say we have to see how active, how interactive the teacher is in the class. How is the interaction taking place? So in the junior school, in the pre-primary classes, interaction is very important. While as we go to the senior classes, then we go to subject specialization. So we have to see to the subject knowledge also. Then third thing is that how much time they are giving while teaching. Like once you are delivering, you're taking a topic. So how much time you're taking in explaining the topic practically in the class, and how much time the theory work is being done. So as the head of the institution, we know that how we are evaluating the teacher. Sometimes we do sit in the class and we see how the teacher is teaching. So most of the time we look at these parameters. The lesson plan, how the teacher is interacting with the children, how she's able to, the knowledge she's able to provide to the children, whether the children are understanding the way the teacher is teaching. So all these things, these are the parameters if you want to be your teaching to be effective in class.
Very good. Thank you so much. I think so well explained, because these are actually the core parameters. So all the professional development courses should actually focus on, planning, strategy and planning.
Planning,
That's very
strategy.
important. And subject knowledge, domain knowledge, subject knowledge is extremely important when you talk about the higher ninth onwards. That becomes an important aspect that I would probably add one more, and of course, how well she is delivering the pedagogical delivery, as
Yes,
you said,
yes.
the delivery, the lesson planning, and the domain knowledge. I think 3 very, very effective aspects given by Ms. Geetika Kapoor, very important. I would like to add also, when you're doing it, there could be some amount of, which I felt could be peer assessment, like a micro teaching aspect could be one teacher could assess the class of the other, not just for the evaluation, but also, to understand what are the different ways things can be. So we
Can
need
be,
to make a very collaborative effort in this, which is
yes.
very important. And I remember there was a lot of emphasis way back in micro teaching. So in subject meets, I had introduced that one teacher used to do micro teaching and others would observe. We need to even go beyond. Why not to observe each other's class in classrooms? It's not about, just judgmental, but being, looking at
Learners,
different
we're
parameters.
learning something new. Yeah.
Learners. Yeah. One more thing, I think now it is time, and I really don't know, and I want to hear you out because you're a principal, that don't you think now the increments of the teachers should be based on their professional, like it happens in corporates, their professional growth, that how much effort as a teacher you have made on your professional development? Because that should be a negotiable. Like, are you investing, are you spending that time and energy? Because I'm sure they have this annual increment which randomly happens. Till now these things were in practice, but the management can now link their professional development with the increments of the educators. So this is one suggestion which I was wanting to make. And now I will move on to, I think the discussions are going very interesting. And I would want to go to Dr. Rajathalingam. And I would want to ask that how can continuous professional development of educators be practically implemented across, the across the country? Because if we look at the UNESCO report of May 2020, that report revealed that there are around 2.7 million teachers in India were unprepared for dealing with the challenges related to school closures and altered methods of teaching. Though the reality was they overnight became technology experts and put up a great show. But now this is a very strange situation. On one hand, we have some government organizations like Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, teachers education programs, which budget the teacher training to as less than 100 rupees. And then there are resource persons. We want to take the advantage of that esteemed resource persons and bring them to educate the educators, train the trainers. What is your recommendation? How are we going to, deal with this such an humongous task of educating our educators? What budget allocation? What is your roadmap to that, Dr. Rajathalingam?
Okay. See, when you have a large population like this and the time is actually running, we have to run in pace with the demand of time also. I think practically it is possible only to have in an individual organization, for example, a handful of people, senior or smart people. It may not be necessarily senior people, but smart people who are willing to, get into the change immediately. Take a group of those people and train them first. And, the first level of training should happen to them. And the next level of training should happen to the same people continuously. But in that process, you have a pipeline where the other people also gang up with these individuals in this group. So let us say some 5 people you are training from a single organization. Each one of these 5 people, they should have a group with whom, they start sharing what they learned. Peer learning. You start with peer learning for a larger group and then go ahead with the next level of workshops. Actually, short workshops, 1 day, 2 day workshops can be frequently arranged. And online mode to add up on the end of, for example, you to complete a task, you can come online and then add value to the learning that is happening. You can also have experts share their experiences whenever they had to face this kind of transformations earlier. Because at the end of the day, it is a teaching process that is what they are supposed to deliver. Knowledge is a very important component, but the delivery is much more important, because I believe that not everything we need to teach to the students these days, because the source of knowledge is so much. Okay, so the teacher also should be enabled to think in that direction. They don't have to teach everything. So to learn this idea, they need to learn it from other experts, definitely. So that is one. So and you have a smaller group, moving forward, and another bigger group moving in the next in the pipeline, and then another bigger group moving next in the pipeline. And if you look at it in a 1 year time, let us say an organization has got around 300 people who have to be equipped. So initially, the whole organization of these 300 people themselves would have been put into different groups. So maybe different departments, maybe different subjects. So you choose a smaller group in each of the subject, or smaller groups in each of the department and do the first level training. That is one way. And when you do this peer learning, there is no investment in money there. The investment that is to be done by the management at the first level and the government. The first level training has to happen from the government as well as by the management, funded by the management also. That has to happen. A rigorous training has to happen, not at a very lighter level. Only then the knowledge, at least, the knowledge will filter down into the next community, which is there in the pipeline. So the initial investment is definitely required. And the second level people in the pipeline and the next level. So continuously, the process has to happen at different levels, even if it is workshops or online courses or webinars. Webinars can be individual and customized.
Okay. So I think very well point put in by Dr. Rajathalingam, and this should be heard by all that she says, that initial investment, yes, it will be required. A good strategy for schools is to train first layer, probably the coordinators or the subject matter experts, and then move on to the second level and the third level, so that the trickle down effect will help us to deal with this humongous task. I think a brilliant roadmap provided by Dr. Rajathalingam. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, moving on to Miss Sana Siddiqui. Teachers and their work are situated, in the context of government as shaped by our constitution, polity, and bureaucracy. And I realized that Rajasthan government is doing some great work in empowering the education system by and large through their, I believe, Rajasthan Educational Initiative. So could we have some highlights of the efforts of School Shiksha Parishad Rajasthan initiatives that you've been taking? But before that, also some light on what role do you envisage by the state governments in promoting the CPD of educators in schools?
I guess state government plays a key role in the CPD of educators. It is by implementing policies, curation of content, and building a platform, motivating them, and all the other aspects. It is all is being done by the state government. And Rajasthan, as you mentioned, I'm very happy to be associated with the team Rajasthan in this manner, because Rajasthan was ranked first in Diksha usage when within the first 2 months of launching digital teachers training. And here 89% teachers log in via the MIS portal. Around 1.8 lakh teachers enrolled, and they have demanded for training. Around our 96% course completion, 96% course was completed, and teachers scored average around 75 to 77% on post-module assessment. So we are successfully implementing the Nishtha and Diksha. The entire back to school program was also launched on Diksha. And the department is planning for comprehensive training strategy in line with the NEP mandate for 50 hours of professional development for teachers in a blended model. We are not going for just online model. We are going for a blended model. So department teacher calendar for academic year is illustrated in the, it is illustrated beautifully. And as the training plan are a combination of online training and on Diksha and in-person cluster workshop. It has been done by a blended mode. But I guess as an individual and as a part of society, I just want to add one point, that we have to address our teachers as human beings, as a social entity. They are also facing the challenges of this COVID. They also have their families who are facing problems. They also have their kids. They also have their elders. So when we are projecting or when we are planning something, some trainings for them, we should also include some trainings on mental health. We should also include some group discussions on how they have survived, how they are struggling. It, according to me, it should not be just a one-way teacher training. It should be a problem-solving module. If I'm, as a teacher, if I'm facing some problems with my students, I should have a platform to share it. If as a teacher, I'm having some, psychological stress or anything in my career or anywhere else, we should also include some trainings on that part also. We are just, I personally believe, we are just focusing on pedagogy. We are just focusing on content. As I stated earlier, we are little bit neglecting the part of motivation and the mental health of our teacher. It is very, for me, it is the prima facie, prima facie duty of ours to help them in such a condition, because we are just, I think we are expecting too much from them, and we are a little bit behind for their social and emotional and mental health. When we are talking about the social, emotional and mental health of our student, we should also talk about for the teachers also. So I guess
very right, very true.
Do something in this
I think
area.
very right. And Edudevs is taking these workshops a lot, which is social and emotional fortitude of the educators. And we are, because that's so important. We are talking about students coming out state from the pandemic situation, moving on to, a hybrid learning model, but the mental well-being of the educators, the motivation level, as Ms. Sana Siddiqui said, that the motivation level of the teachers is the prima facie duty of any management, any government, if you want an effective learning outcome in their classes. When we are talking about the 21st century student and, encapsulating the holistic development of the student, we also must look at the holistic development. And I'm so impressed, Ms. Siddiqui, that you said, and you are very right, bang on, that we are so bothered about that. Does the teacher know technology integration? Does she know the hybrid model of pedagogical deliverance? Does she know? Is anybody even talking about, mental well-being? Let's move on to hear what Ms. Geetika Kapoor, because she heads a lot many, forums, and what is the talk there about, the working upon the mental well-being and motivation level of the teachers. Yes, Ms. Geetika, could you just throw some light on what are your views on, this current discussion of ours, that we are only talking about development of technology, domain knowledge, lesson planning? Where is their emphasis on their motivation?
Devyani, Sana has, she's rightly said. And today we had like a short talk show with Edudevs. Before that, I had a talk show with somebody else. And the main focus was on the mental, emotional well-being of the teachers. And that is where I said that teachers have also been through this COVID phase. They have the families also. And we, as a management, we have stood hand to hand, side by side, as a backbone for them to go through that. And management, or being the head of the school, I should say, I was available 24 hours for them during that time. We discussed it, the problems they're facing, even giving them, emotional support when they are just breaking, they're crying. So it's not just being the head of the school and just giving them training and just telling them, you upgrade yourself to technology and you do this and you do that. No. We as the head of schools, I think most of us who I know in my circle, we ensured that their emotional, their mental well-being was of prime importance. And you won't believe the teachers themselves, and I said it earlier also, they had the support system. One person, if the family was facing a problem, the other teachers came in the role. And we did it wonderfully, beautifully, we came out of that. So it is very important that the government also sees to this, the emotional and the mental well-being of the teachers. I completely agree with that. And we've all been through this phase. And I think the most important is what I always say, being humane. That is more important. And we understand the problems also. Sometimes, of course, we do have to keep the child prima facie because that is the future of the child. That is in our hands. But at the same time, we have to realize that teachers are human beings. What we are going through, what the children are going through, they and their families are also going through the same. So very important to have to think about their mental, their emotional well-being, and I would not say it's not important, even their financial well-being also.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Geetika. And I think the discussion was really very insightful, where we discussed all aspects from lesson planning, strategy, to so much so that each one of the stakeholders, we have different stakeholders here, and they all recognize that yes, the mental well-being and the motivation level of the teacher is very important, because a healthy teacher will create a healthy classroom environment. Coming to the last section, which is last but not the least, and I have some very insightful questions in front of me, which are addressed, and they are across. They are from Moga, Gurugram, Kolkata, and from various places. And I'm very happy that the viewers are taking our program so seriously and coming back to us. Some of the names are those which I'm seeing them. They have been a regular viewer of this program. So the first question is by Ms. Jaya P. Swaminathan, Royal Society of Chemistry. And the question is, how do we convince school management and teachers of the need for the continuous personality development? So I would like this question to be addressed by Ms. Sana, because we've been talking only this, and I think we are all very convinced. But since this question has been asked, so Ms. Sana, how do we convince school management and teachers to undergo this CPD?
See, as I mentioned earlier, motivation is the key importance in motivation plays a key important in this. You have to plan such kind of curriculum which helps them. अगर आप मुझे कहेंगे कि इस काम से मेरा काम बढ़ जाएगा तो मैं उस काम से अपने पैर पीछे खींचूंगी, लेकिन अगर आप मुझे इस तरह के टूल्स दे रहे हैं जिससे मेरा काम आसान होगा, जिससे मेरी बेहतरी होगी, which I'm going to be better in every aspects of my life, I will definitely choose it. And the motivation level and the passion will be at the other scale, I would say. So we have to choose, we have to very carefully, we have to choose our content very carefully, we have to choose our training hours very carefully. You have to be very practical about it. You cannot expect a teacher to sit in their schools for 6 to 8 hours, and then and then they have to sit for a training for 2 to 3 hours more. As I said, they also have families. They also have their own respective works. So if you are not choosing everything in a particular practical manner, you will face the problems. And if you are choosing everything, your content and your hours, your various aspects, and how if they are easy or they are tough, the assessments are very tough, are they very boring, are they very kind of engaging themselves with each other, it will help. it will help definitely.
I'm sure our viewer and the person who's posted this question would have got satisfied with it. My next question is addressed to Ms. Geetika Kapoor, and that's something reason being because she being a principal, she will and has just addressed, and I would like her to repeat that same thing for. The question is by Mr. Ryan, Sacred Heart School Moga, and the question is, what should be the frequency of CPD programs?
Like I stated earlier also that it has to be a regular process, and it can be weekends, like what we are planning. And if it's not, it doesn't have to be every day, like what Ma'am Sana said, that 6 to 8 hours of teaching in the school, and then after that 2 to 3 hours of teaching. So it cannot be done like that. So proper time planning and making it interactive and interesting. So it can be on weekends. Leave the Sundays for the teachers. Tell them that this is your family day. You enjoy with your family. But yes,
Yeah.
Saturdays, we can just minus the last 2 periods. Instead of having a full day school, we just have 5 periods or 6 periods. And the last 2 or 3 periods, what they use in school, that can be used. And it can be on regularly when they do it. It gets easier for them. Initially, see, when we learn something new, it is a little difficult. Slowly, when we keep learning, then it becomes like a revision. And
Yeah.
we keep upgrading them. Like what ma'am also said, it and need not that all teachers have to do it at the same time. What we can do is we divide them. Group of 5, they are trained. And then the same group, even while they are sitting in the staff room, like, they are talking. And then we can tell them the important key points you all can just discuss, like a normal, informal discussion. Need not be a very formal workshop all the time. So this is how the school management, as management, we have to plan. The time planning has to be done and make it more interactive. And that can only be done by the leaders we create for CPDs. And those leaders, even while they're just sitting and talking and having a chat, they can just start a discussion like we are having.
Yeah.
Very right. I think so beautifully put it, and so with so much of compassion that yeah, Sunday is the day that you need to be with your family. And another plan which Ms. Gitika has given is that reduce your Saturdays. You don't need to work the entire Saturday. Half day could be utilized for the CPD programs. Thank you so much, Ms. Gitika. That really gives us a lot of information. Now, Ms. Sana, if you could address this, and the question is by Mr. Doyle Biswas, Sun City School, Sector 37D, Gurugram, or maybe anyone can address, what are some of the mandatory professional development courses to be completed by the language educators? What recommendations, and I think even Ms. Gitika can give on that what are the professional development courses for the language teachers?
I guess I have seen on Diksha and Nishtha, there are some particular language courses available on that. But other than that, also, I have seen some online certification courses also, which are focusing on language. So, as I told you, that it should be a need-based course. What I need, if I need a language for communication, that would lead me to a different course. But if I need a excellence in some language or excellence in grammar, it would lead me to another different course. But there are available on different platforms.
Yes, a very important course for language educators which we also run is the art of storytelling and integrating storytelling into your pedagogy. And yes, as you rightly said, that it's very important language, whether it is your effective communication or it is probably you want to upskill the grammar and how to take grammar forward in the classrooms, how to integrate storytelling in the classroom. So there are many aspects, but you have to decide what is the need so you can explore the Diksha portal, or you can explore the net and some of the various organizations which are into these professional development courses for the language educators. Moving on to the next, this question I would like to address to Dr. Rajathalingam. Ma'am, the question is from Ms. Mithali Bhattacharya, Career Wings, Kolkata. And she says that how comfortably can the need of a teacher development program be fulfilled? Of course, and can this training be affordable in the rural sectors too? This is a blend of two aspects. I think one first has already been answered by Ms. Geetika, that comfortably the need of teacher training development program, that how seamlessly you can integrate it in the day structure. The second question she's asking is, can this training be affordable in the rural sectors too? Since you had spoken about the affordability aspect, so I am, yes, Dr. Rajathalingam.
Well, in the rural sector, I think, we do have affordable training programs, but I think the partial investment for training in the rural sector can be done by the government and government agencies, and definitely they do support. So it is possible to share the investment with the government and do it, or not just exclusively the management. If you mean government colleges themselves, I think there are definitely sufficient opportunities, as far as I know, that the government is giving us for the rural sector. And more than that, even in spite of all of this, if the rural sector, the teachers want to learn some advanced courses, definitely the fundamentals, or even at the advanced level, to certain extent, you do have a lot of free courses available. Beyond that, the school management also can put forward a proposal and get funding for training their teachers. The government schemes are also available for that.
Thank you so much. I'm sure Ms. Mithali's query would have been addressed. And yes, last time we were also talking about the accessibility of technology in the rural areas, but then you said that there are such funding schemes and other available. Government has, designated a good chunk of funds for the teacher training and capacity building of educators. And I'm sure if we root it out properly, this dream can be fulfilled. As always, all good things, though we don't want them, but they come to an end. And so does this session on the need, challenges, and roadmap to the continuous professional development of the educators. This webinar is coming to an end. And we see all the panelists did agree on the need of the professional development. They suggested their own ways. Now, before I conclude, I would just like each panelist to say their one last statement on this topic. We begin from Ms. Geetika Kapoor. Your one last line for what you have to say on today's session.
Devyani, it's been a wonderful session. And I think the suggestions which Sana and the doctor also put in, I think these will be very important while the schools are trying to implement the CPDs also. And like what I said, that passion should be there, encouragement should be there, motivation should be there. And I tell all the teachers what I said: learn more, do more, dream more. There is no end to knowledge and there is no end to learning.
Thank you so much. That was really wonderful. Moving on to Dr. Rajathalingam, if you could just give one line, your last statement for today's webinar.
Though it looks very challenging, taking up this, transformation and helping oneself to move forward, this is going to be a very, very rewarding experience. and a lot of opportunities for the teachers to actually play an interdisciplinary role if they really work on it. Little bit of extra time, a little bit of awareness, and a little bit of research, pedagogical research, is going to make a beautiful career, because tomorrow it is going to be the world of education. Thank you.
Well said, ma'am. Little bit of research, little bit of your passion is going to make a lot of difference. You have to walk that one extra mile. Moving on to Ms. Sana Siddiqui, what is it that you want to say to our viewers today?
First of all, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And to the educators, I just want to say, either you win or you learn. You never lose. So you just keep going. या तो आप जीतते हैं या आप सीखते हैं. हारना या फेल होना जैसी कोई चीज होती ही नहीं है. So just keep moving, and all the best to all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chris. But so true. Either you win or you learn. There is no scope of losing. Thank you so much. In conclusion, it is important that all stakeholders recognize the importance of a well-structured teacher development program, which are in the tandem with evolving technologies and changing business environments. We owe it to our teachers, students, and our country to ensure that our teachers have the training and ongoing support. As Ms. Sana said, that prima facie, it is our duty to ensure that the training happens. Teacher training has been knocking at our door for the longest time, and now is the time we open the gates and embrace it. The terms continuous and comprehensive applied to evaluation should now be adapted for regular training. To remain relevant, the continuous and comprehensive upskilling and reskilling has become inevitable in current times. And before we end, we would like to run a short video of our teacher training program, Edu Empower. Can we have the audio video, please?
Century is all about skilling, upskilling, and reskilling yourself if you wish to remain relevant and stand tall in front of a 21st century student. Edudevs brings to you Edu Empower, a series of workshops to empower the 21st century educator.
Making them fill the reflection sheets, whether it is self-reflection or it is content reflection or it is activity reflection, and that becomes very important. And
to be educated. Why are we all here, first of all? So please quickly answer, and here we can see
give an adjective to describe that picture or that painting. All right, give an adjective to describe the painting of Mona Lisa. The students can either take up the role of a teacher and tutor other students, or they can be asked to create videos demonstrating their understanding.
Let's come to the issues age-wise, group-wise, and after which we will move towards our activity. But before that, let's pick up some more skills.
Thank you so much. And we were honored to have each one of you today as panelists on our last session of National Education Policy, Decoding National Education Policy 2020. Our next series would be implementing the National Education Policy 2020. So stay tuned. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.